Hey everybody, happy Monday again. Look at this snow globe we got going on out here. Other than just the fact that everything about our life is wild right now and up in the air, everything about the weather is wild and up in the air, and it is changing every day or two, which changes what, at least I know I do, for my sweat. I like to be outside, but a day like today is going to be an inside day for sure. So I knew this weather was coming, and because I knew the weather was coming, I wanted to take advantage of the warm days that we had at the end of last week and over the weekend. So I made a plan, and made the plan with my buddy Andy, and we decided to take off from my house, from my garage, and ride a trail, or a road rather, that I've wanted to ride for about 2 years, 3 years maybe. Ever since I got into bike packing just a little bit and had a gravel bike, I've always wanted to see how far I could kind of push the adventure. And with bike packing, you have these bags on the bikes. Take a look at the picture, and all of the gear can pack into there. Now it's lightweight gear, so lightweight tents and stove and clothes, extra clothes, and you have to be smart about what you take, because even though your bike is going to be heavy, mine ended up being 39 pounds, 12 ounces fully loaded, you need to realize that it's ounces that get you there. Very much like those of you who find yourselves gaining a little bit of weight. It wasn't one meal, but it was just like a little bite and a little taste and a little bite and a little treat and a little thing here, and eventually it adds up, right? And the same goes for packing with these types of adventures. So you have to pay attention to what you want. Like, do I need a toothbrush for 36 hours? The answer was yes, but I had to think about it. So anyway, we got on our bikes on Friday morning. We left my house at 9 a.m. and we headed all the way down to Sedalia, and then took a road out, ended up on Rampart Range Road. Now, Rampart Range Road is a dirt road closed to vehicles through June 1st. And so it's really good to go out there before those vehicles get on the road. That way you're not dealing with the dust and the traffic and all the things. And we were fortunate enough to do that. However, this is not quite yet the season for riding high elevation dirt roads with variable weather conditions going on. Nonetheless, we decided to go anyway. And we end up on this dirt road that degrades to like a mud road and then sometimes a snow road. It's very interesting. Andy clearly pointed out, he goes, look for the white snow. Find the white snow. The white snow was colder snow, and the colder snow you could ride on top of instead of sinking down into. Either way, we ended up with this monumental day one adventure that took us from Denver to Manitou Springs, where we camped in an RV park and enjoyed one of the best gyros I think I've ever eaten. To make up for our massive day, we spent about 9.5 active hours to ride the 92 and change miles it took to get to Manitou Springs. So wake up in the morning and we got to get back home. And back home meant riding the route through Colorado Springs and back up through Palmer Lake and Parker and making our way ultimately back to my house. We finished at 201 miles with about 11,000 feet, a little over 11,000 feet of elevation gain, and carried all of our own stuff. We only stopped to fill up water bottles, which we did at public water areas, so like at parks or trailheads or things like that we passed through. And we brought all of our own food, and we brought all of our own snacks. And so we were able to do this without interacting with everybody, which kept us feeling confident about following some of these COVID guidelines. But the purpose of telling you this story is that these adventures that I go on, and big shout out to Abby for being super cool and literally just being like, whatever, dude, do what you want to do. Okay, be happy. So I dig that. But the key to these adventures, and the reason I want to talk to you this morning, is that when you're out there, right, and you're away from everything that tends to occupy our thoughts when we're trying to fall asleep, or tends to occupy our hours when we're up trying to manage, for some of you now, teachers to your kids, but also employees to your business. For some of you trying to navigate, how do I live? I live alone. How do I get through all of this when I don't have any of that interaction that I so desperately crave as a human being? Like, we're all kind of trying to figure things out. And adventures like the adventure that I went on Friday and Saturday are so nice because they just distill life to the super simple elements. I was thinking about it back on Rampart Range Road when we were grinding up just a brutally steep section in the easiest gear. And so many times on the bike, I'm trying to make the gear easier, right? I've gotten to a point and I'm like, okay, I just need a little bit easier, and there is no easier. That's my bike telling me. It makes an audible click. It tells you, try harder, dude. This is the limit. And you do, and you get through it. But when you're out on these adventures, the only thought oftentimes is that next pedal stroke. When you're 100 miles away from home and you got yourself there and you know you're 100 miles to get back, it's a really simple decision. You just keep going. And when you just keep going, it's now 99 miles to home, and then 89, and then 63, and then 42. And when we got to under 20 miles, it was as if we hadn't even ridden 180 miles over 2 days. It was as if we had just gotten on the bikes, we put our heads down, and we hammered, just absolutely destroyed our pace for the last 20 miles to get back home, because our brain finally said, "You're right there, man. You're right there." And I feel like many of us need that reminder. We need to be reminded that no matter how hard things feel like in the moment, or how insurmountable some of these challenges that are ahead of us are, if you just keep pedaling, it just works out. It's simple. We work so hard to make these things complex. And I go on these adventures not because I love my bike more than anything in the world. I'm a big fan of all of them. But no, more importantly, because it simplifies things that I, in my head, overcomplicate so many times. Make things so much more challenging than they really need to be. And oftentimes, if I go back to the simple basics of just move, keep your head down, pick your head up, put your head back down, and do the work that you know is quality, you're going to end up experiencing something that's just really quite beyond what you thought was possible, maybe when you wheeled away from the garage on Friday morning at 9 a.m. Guys, these adventures are sweet. I will hope you enjoyed some of the pictures along the way on this. Below this video in our email, I've posted some of my adventure to-dos, things that before my life is over, I want to accomplish these massive, unbelievable challenges. And I want to do it because, again, it reminds me of how simple life can be when I get out of my own way. And I want to hear what your adventures are too. So there's links here in the email, and also just shooting me either an email, a message, or something on socials. I want to know what are just some crazy out there, like I want to go see X, or I want to go do Y. What are your crazy adventures that are things that you don't spend much time thinking about because you can't, you're too busy with the getting groceries and the making dinners and the teaching arithmetic or whatever it may be. But when you just stop and kind of just smile at fantasy, you say, man, I would love to do this. I would love to hear what those are. I would love to see what makes you guys tick. This is the stuff that makes me tick, just knowing that I'm alive and knowing that no matter what is in or out of my control, I can be alive anytime I want to put my head down, pedal the pedals, and find something new.